Light guns, don't you just love them? It was awesome when they brought them to the home console, a childhood memory. And to this day, they still make you feel like a badass gunslinger. If the bleeding worked. Sadly, they weren't designed to work on modern flat screen TVs. They work on them big old box TVs, you know, the ones that like are big as microwaves. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And you know what? That's not going to stop me from reviewing today's game. Gunfighter, the legend of Jesse James. I think I've already played this game as a kid. I'm not too sure, but I think I first played it on a PlayStation demo disc. Holy shit. Demo discs. PlayStation 1 demo discs. Now we're going back some time. But anyway, this game. Is it any good? Even using a controller? Well, it's time to find out. Here we go. Let's begin with the story. It's simple. You play as the legendary outlaw Jesse James, and you stroll into a saloon to meet up with your girlfriend. But quickly, she is captured by dangerous bandits, and now it's all on you to set out and get her back. When the intro is over, you're thrown head first right into the action.
Here we go.
What a great way to open a game. The Undertaker's going to be very busy this month, that's for sure. So at the bottom of the screen, there is a timer counting down. In true arcade fashion, you have to shoot your way through the stage, making it to the end before it runs out. You better be ready with your finger on the trigger, because you don't have time to mess about. The clock forces you to draw on the bandits as quick as you can. This is classic gameplay, and it keeps you in the action. How can you earn some extra time, you may ask? Well, you can shoot these highlighted objects and generally progressing through the stage, killing a bunch of bad guys. If you're a great gunslinger, then time will be always on your side. And by the way, the gunshot sound effects in this game are well done, and it's the same for the reloading. The spin sound effect is so satisfying. Nice. And I think it's cool how ammo is represented by an actual cylinder, and it displays the bullets as well. Definitely a nice touch of detail right there. But once you're empty, be prepared to be pissed off. Hearing Jesse say, reload for the 100th time.
Reload, empty. Reload.
Reloading! How the fuck can you do that with this thing? These cowpokes are serious fucking men. You'll need to watch out for incoming fire at all times. If you stay out of cover for too long, you'll be shot in the face. I do like the flesh wound effect. It's a brilliant idea to show that you've been hit, and every time you take a hit, you lose a playing card. Essentially, this is your life bar. Again, another neat idea, and to recover them, you have to shoot whatever this is. And if you lose all your cards, you'll likely know what happens next. You die. But you get to come back with a fuck off minigun and a bad attitude. Well, I lied about that part, but that would be cool though, wouldn't it? Thankfully, this game has checkpoints. It's good that you get to restart from where you died. If you didn't, the timer would be up your ass. And speaking of a minigun, there's a few areas where you get hold of one. It's alright, the gameplay doesn't change much. It's still the same thing, shooting at bad guys. I guess there's only so much you can do with an on-the-rail shooter, and that's the game's biggest problem really. Unfortunately, like other on-the-rail shooters, Gunfighter suffers from repetitive gameplay. Each stage has to do the same thing, shoot every living target and just move on. Plus, waiting between sections breaks the pace of the action. And the fact that I'm using a controller just makes aiming far more difficult than it needs to be. Especially towards the end, there's more enemies on screen at one given time. You can't aim fast enough, it's a terrible disadvantage. It's actually bullshit. What the hell? Despite that, I tell you what, this game is really going for it, and that is personality. One play session alone, and you'll have your Western desires be fulfilled. You'll feel like you're Clint Eastwood from the movies, as you have several gunfights across various locations, such as saloons, deserts, mines, and even a train. Yeah, a train. You have to beat the clock to save your girlfriend, all while clearing out the carriages. You actually do feel like a badass outlaw, taking out every enemy in just a matter of seconds. It's absolutely amazing.
Pull the brakes. Stop the train.
Oh, Jesse, I thought I was surely gonna die. Are you leaving me already?
Gonna give Carson the fight of his miserable two-bit stinking life.
So, what, after saving your lass, you're just gonna leave her there? In the open wild? But she's a target now! In the desert, bandits could easily return and take her again. Oh no! Even worse! She's practically a meal for a cougar! And for what? Revenge? To seek out and kill the man who's responsible for all this? Is Jesse a moron? He came all this way and just left her there! He didn't even try to take her to safety. What a prick. Yeah, it turns out you're a bad boyfriend on a suicide mission. The final stage is tough. The town has been completely taken over by Carson's men, and yeah, they're not friendly people. They have only one goal in mind, and that's to put you in a coffin 10 feet under. One big lad is so confident in killing you, he brought his fist to a gunfight. Yeah, good luck, son. If you manage to survive the waves of madness, Carson calls you out to finish the fight once and for all. It comes down to a classic one-on-one duel. When the clock strikes 3 AM, only one man will walk away from this town alive.
You have a nice day.
And just like that, the story ends with Carson dead in the lonesome streets with the rest of his gang. They're all ready to meet The Undertaker. A fitting end to a brilliant game. What a game! This has got to be one of the greatest on-the-rails shooters I have ever played. The music keeps you hooked from start to end. You feel like a badass outlaw who is unstoppable. But most importantly, that makes this game a fun experience. It's just a damn shame I couldn't play with a light gun. I know just what to do to conclude this review. Catching a fish can be a relaxing pastime, but to me, it's incredibly uninteresting. 99% of the time, you just sat down waiting for the fish to take the bait. I've been sat here for hours now, and I haven't caught anything. Does that sound like a great time to you? Sitting around here bored doing absolutely nothing? This is why I prefer to play fishing games. Now, there's tons of fishing simulation games to play, and nearly all of them play identical. You grab the rod, attach some bait to the hook, cast the line, and wait till the fish bites, and then usually there's a minigame to reel it in. Even in popular games that are non-fishing titles, such as Red Dead Redemption 2, you can do some fishing. Additionally, there's a few games that stand out to me, such as Real Fishing with the pre-rendered backgrounds, Big Ol' Bass 2, where you can catch a freaking T-Rex, and Monster Bass, or Killer Bass as it's known in Japan. It's a typical fishing game, but with crazy horror elements added to the mix. Yeah, killer fish. Now that is interesting. I have to play this game and see if this is as ludicrous as it sounds. Now I've managed to hack the old PSP so it can run the game. That way I can sit and chill in the sun while a fish hopefully takes the bait. Monster Bass. Is it any good? Well, it's time to find out and catch some killer fish. On the main menu screen, there is a story, practice and training mode. Training is what you would expect. It explains the mechanics so you can get a feel for the controls, which is easy to understand. Here, all you have to do is match the buttons on screen to complete the exercises. In the practice mode, you can choose to play 4 stages from the story, but without a time limit, and that's pretty much it. It looks like this is going to be a short, easy game. So moving on to the story, it appears that someone's caught some bass and done some science on them. The fish now mutated break out of their containment, then all of a sudden there is a killer bass fishing tournament where you get to play as this guy wearing a red coat. If you think that this sounds like nonsense, that's because it is, and that's just from the intro. So now the game starts and you're tasked to complete 1 goal in each round. In the first round, you have to catch 3 fish. Before we crack on with that, I have to say that these graphics is horrendous. This entire stage is just ugly to look at. The graphics is so bad, you can't even make out the word magical on the coat. They didn't even try. Anyway, let's make a move and grab some bait. Ah, great, another problem. Every time you want to choose bait, there's a loading screen. Oh, how long does this have to load for? You've got to be kidding me! One expensive new rod later, and the menu is finally loaded. As you can see, there is various interesting bait to choose from, such as a spider, lobster, toad, and a mouse to name a few. Each of the bait has different lure actions. For example, in the training mode, we can see the mouse sinks slowly and the lobster sinks quickly. Either way, you're best off selecting one and leaving it at that, because why would you want to sit through the exhausting loading times? Okay, we're ready to fish. Here we go, cast the line. My God, what the hell is going on with this frame rate? Man, this is unacceptable. It's nearly as bad as Bubsy 3D, and that's awful. So terrible graphics, check. Horrible frame rate, check. What's next? Oh no, not the camera too. Look at this, what is going on? You can't make out anything, and the worst thing about it, you have zero control over it, and the fish is fucking psycho, man. You know what? I've only ever caught 1 fish, me. I brought it home, and it didn't stop fucking singing.
Here is a song I wrote, might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
Okay, back to the game, and that's strange, the line hasn't snapped. The fish is still going apeshit. So now the question is, how do you actually reel in the fish then? In the training mode it's said to match the buttons on screen, but here there is no such thing, no button prompts whatsoever. It's literally one big guessing game that makes your eyes ache. I know there's only so much you can do with a fishing simulation game, so the core gameplay has to be fun, but how can they fuck this up this bad? It's a near unplayable nightmare, and that's only the first catch of the day. It didn't take too long, but god it was atrocious. So let's talk about the progression. As you play on through the story, the goal in each stage slightly varies. Instead of catching a set number of fish, sometimes you'll need to catch a combined weight of fish, or one fish that meets the required weight. Yeah, it's a bit complicated to understand, but it's really not. When you've completed all 4 stages, they cycle again, but this time you fish during the night, and there's a lot more bass to catch. So I soldiered on through the lonely night and made it to the final stage, which takes place here, in some lost ruins or something. I don't know why people would want to gather in the vast nothingness of the ocean to watch one bloke stand on a boat, but there you go. The people from the town are all nuts. They're willing to sit there for one catch, the last catch of the story. This time the killer bass has a name. It's called Jack, and it's huge, like real huge, and you get 1 hour to catch the monster. You may be thinking, why 1 hour? Well, you see, that's because everything but the bastard wants to take the bleeding bait. After repeatedly questioning my sanity, I eventually got the bite, and I'm not letting this fucker go. I've played for half an hour for this moment. Jack is mine. It's time to reel the big guy in. Whoa, that bass is so big, it goes off camera. With the story mode finished, what is there to do now? Well, there is a practice mode where you can play as long as you like, but why would you want to go through more pain with the camera and mechanics? It's not worth it. Besides that, I don't think there's anything else to cover. So, in summary, the game's horror twist tricked me into playing it, and I thought it was going to be a good experience, but it's not. The graphics is bollocks, the camera is bollocks, the reeling minigame, that's bollocks, the frame rate is absolute bollocks, nearly everything about this game is bollocks. And now that I've completed it, I wouldn't recommend anyone to play it. Please go play another fishing game, just not this one. Just don't do it. It's not worth your money or your time, honestly. And it's quite funny actually, because in the end, we caught Jack. Like, here, literally, sat here. We caught Jack shit. Oh wait. Bloody hell. Hello! Like many others, I grew up playing wrestling games. As a young lad, I loved the classic WWF SmackDown games on the mighty PlayStation 1. Even if I did wrestle like a jobber and lost every match, it was still a fun time. And what else did I grow up with when I was a kid? The Simpsons. Yes, I remember coming home from school right now, watching the programme every day, and sometimes after it finished, I would play some classic hit and run. Fond, glorious memories, I'll tell you. But what do you get when you merge The Simpsons with wrestling? Sadly, you get this atrocity, The Simpsons Wrestling. It came out in 2001 and it's considered to be one of the worst games of all time. Oh, God! It smells like one too! Oh! I found this game at the bottom of the lake, and for good reason. People want rid of it. They would rather throw it away and forget all about it. Today, I'm going to show you why that is. Upon pressing the start button, you'll be introduced to a menu screen that offers only two modes: New Challenger Circuit and Practice Mode. Practice is self-explanatory. A New Challenger is a series of matches against the roster, which is quite limited. So, who am I going to choose with this terrible attempt of portraying a true Scotsman like? You know it's gonna be my main man Willie, who looks like he's having a great difficulty accepting the terrible fact he is included on the poor roster. I feel for you, laddie. I do.
Groundskeeper Willie versus Bart Simpson.
If you'd been born in Scotland, we'd have thrown you to the wolves.
After I win, I'll still respect you as much as I ever did, or ever will.
That's strange. That's exactly what other people have said about this game. Yeah, this is bollocks. What you see is what you get, and it's definitely not wrestling. How can it be? There isn't a single wrestling move, no choke slams, power bombs, or pile drivers. Instead, it's bitch slaps and waving around an old garden rake. The game should have been called The Simpsons Super Brawl or something like that. That would make sense. But what isn't so super is the terrible AI and the fact you only get 3 different attacks. How is this going to work? It fucking doesn't. And why does each attack require stamina to perform? You just end up spamming the square button as that's the light attack. Or I guess you can use this move.
Ow, quit it. Ow, quit it.
The only good thing I can say about this game is the characters. They're voiced by the show's real actors, but the dialogue, it isn't funny.
In wrestling, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how drunk you get afterwards.
Looty too. Look at me, I'm Scottish. I wear a dress and play the bagpipes.
So actually, no, there's nothing nice I can say about this game. Everything about it is horrible. It plays so bad, the graphics is appalling, the character animations is stiff, the crowd is lifeless, and it appears as though they've all been steamrolled. This just isn't fun. It's more annoying than anything. I spent more than enough time in this ring running around waiting for the stamina to charge up, just so I can tap the circle button. It acts like a special move. That special attack allows him to hop on his skateboard, and as for Willie, well, he can put down traps. Really? Traps? What? That's not how you pin. How did they get that wrong? No, I'm not having that. The opponent has to be facing up with his or her shoulders pinned to the ground. It's basic wrestling knowledge 101, and this game even cocked that up. What's even more daft is after you win by pinfall, you need to do it again because it's round based. You know, like a fighting game. It begs the question, has the makers of this game ever watched a wrestling match before? Clearly not. Another question I have on my mind right now is why is everyone fighting anyway? Because after you win the match, it's straight on to the next opponent. No introductory text boxes, dialogue, or cutscenes. I'm not even sure that there is a story, so I'm gonna check online real quick. An alien force, most likely Kyan Kodos, has challenged the people of Springfield to a wrestling tournament. Yeah, it sounds as stupid as the pinfalls. So as you play on, you'll fight some new characters which can be unlocked after beating them. They're not hard with a poor AI, but the matches can be very tedious. If you want to suffer a little more, you can play on and fight the boss characters. Here is Smooths and Mr. Burns, and it's Frustration Station. Check this out. Mr. Burns continuously throws explosives throughout the whole fight. How is this fair? Yeah, sure there's handicap matches in wrestling, and in a video game that can be quite challenging, but they don't throw fucking nuclear-powered bombs. Man, it's such a difficulty spike, it's nonsense. I can't even pin Smiths to end the match.
1, 2, 3.
What? That was a free count! Oh, I don't believe it! Guess what? I know a bit of sign language to describe that pinfall. If you thought this match was cheap, then this is nothing when you're up against Ned Flanders. He is possibly the dumbest, most broken-ass character I have ever seen in a video game. Besides his basic punch attacks, he has the ability to launch Bibles, which is unblockable. And if somehow it misses, it will find a way to smash you in the face.
Tokily dokily.
But that's not the worst of all, far from it. The worst attack Flanders has is the ability to pray to God so he can summon bolts of lightning. This kind of overpowered bullshit is damn right cheating, especially when the guy is resurrected after a pinfall. Yeah, that's right, you heard me correctly. He is resurrected and you have to pin him again to win the round. That means you have to pin him 4 times to win the match. That bends the rules. How is this fair? It's so cheap. Ned Flanders may be a man of God, but so am I, because thank the heavens that this game has cheats. In the pause menu, you can input a cheat code that gives it infinite stamina. And I'll tell you, it worked wonders. The match was much easier. In fact, every match going forward was easier, and it sped things up considerably, because in no time, I made it to the end of the circuit and defeated Kage Kurdos.
Arg! Arg!
So, now with new Challenger Circuit beaten, you can play the Defender Circuit. It's another series of matches that is slightly harder. Well, I say harder. Upon beating all 3 circuits, you are rewarded with Exhibition Mode. Come on, Exhibition Mode. It should have been unlocked from the very start. It kind of reminds me of WWE Character Creation Mode. There was many styles to choose from, but as time passed on, the styles was locked behind paywalls and in-game currency. I hate it. Now, for your efforts, there is a bonus option that lets you play as Itchy and Scratchy. And well, yeah, this is what you get for putting a few miserable hours into the game. Why did I fucking bother? So that was The Simpsons Wrestling. A waste of an afternoon. The game fails a bit of failure. And just like all the other people, I don't want to play this crap anymore. I don't even want to see it. I want it to be gone. I'm going to put it back in the lake. Wait, that's no good. Some other fool like me might find it. And then they'll have to suffer. Huh. Think, lad, think. I've got it. The game is scrap, so it belongs in a scrapyard. Yeah, that's a better place for it. Yeah. Well, what we're waiting for, we need to move right away. Get rid of this piece of shit. If you played with Hot Wheel cars when you were young, then your childhood was awesome. You just want to show off the coolest cars to your mates so you can have bragging rights. And if you was one of the lucky kids, then your parents might have bought you a track. These things was epic. I remember on one of my early birthdays, I missed school so I could play with this Octoblast set. Cheers, man. It was amazing. I guess you could say that the tracks was hot back in the day. But what about the games? Were they any good? Let's take a look at one. Here is an old PS1 game I played at the time. It's called Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. Yeah, I don't remember much about this game, so I'm definitely not wearing my nostalgia glasses going into this review. Although, there is one thing I can clearly remember, and that's the thrilling opening cutscene. Now that kicked some mega ass. It was just as good as I remember it to be, maybe even better. It gets you hyped and ready for the races. Also, I like that the song used was Fueled by Metallica, which is one of my favourite bands of all time. So automatically, that's a win in my books. Anyway, let's talk about the game then. There's a few modes you can play. You have the standard practice modes, airtime challenge, exhibition, and the Hot Wheels Cup, which is the main mode. There's no story, it's just a basic series of races. 6 to be precise. Now let's pick a car. There's a great variety to choose from.
Power pipes. Way too fast. Mongoose.
And my favourite as a kid?
Purple passion.
Yeah, Purple Passion. Now let's start the race. On first impressions, the graphics is okay. It's not too bad for the time. I love how the tracks look like the playsets with a range of bright colours. It's like the race is taking place in a kid's imagination, which is good as kids is the target audience. A big part of the game is stunts. When you drive off a ramp and get big airtime, you can do some crazy tricks. Like you can pull a front flips, back flips, barrel rolls, spinneroonies, all sorts of tricks, and you can chain them together to earn turbos. Yeah, that was awesome. Things can get quickly out of hand, like you have no idea what's going on. It's carnage. It's just like the real thing. Yes, this is going to be a tasty stunt. Oh, bollocks. Alright, I'll be honest. At times, the stunts can be a little bit difficult to land because of the controls. They're not very good. It doesn't matter which car you've picked, they all near enough handle the same. Slightly heavy and a bit clunky. When turning around corners, the car ends up sticking to the wall, and that's not good because the aim of the game is speed. You want to be going as fast as you can, land epic tricks to gain turbos, and blast your way to the finish line. For 6 laps. Really? Is that necessary? It could take up to 10 minutes to finish a race. That's exhausting. By lap 5 or 6, you want the race to be over with as the gameplay begins to feel repetitive. Well, it's a good thing you can always take a shortcut. There's at least one on every track. They're generally easy to spot but hard to reach. If you make it, you might find a mystery car. These are found in most shortcuts or in secret areas like behind destructible walls. As a kid, I spent a lot of time searching for the more hidden shortcuts. I wanted to find all the cars. I wasn't even bothered about the races, just give me the cars. Actually, come to think of it, that's probably why I never finished the game. Oh, and by the way, during the race, there's a few power-ups that can help you win. Although, I have no idea what most of them do. I noticed the hammer gives you the ability to destroy cars when you crash into them, which is handy, and this blue one allows you to perform stunts quicker, so you can get some extra turbos, which is always nice. You can really go crazy with it. But there is one power-up that pisses me off. And it's this spiky tyre. It's a grip power-up. As you would expect, with more grip the car sticks to the road, and it does. It's very good. Like, too good. Too good it fixes the controls. But here's the point. The cars should handle like this in the first place. This clearly demonstrates that the makers of the game has made some tight controls here. But why is it a power-up? It's an awful decision. Thankfully, it doesn't hurt the overall experience. Why sacrifice it for a power-up? I don't know. After winning the tournament, you're rewarded with a few cool additional cars and tracks, along with the secret cup mode. It's so secret, the loading screen tells you how to unlock it. Yeah, they might as well tell us that there were secret cars to find. Oh wait, yeah, they actually did that too. So onto the new cup. It has a spooky vibe for some reason, and there's only 2 races. And this track has to be my favourite so far. I like the Halloween theme and the little gargoyles that's going on there. Yeah, gargoyles. Yeah, I appreciate little details like that. Also, I like this huge sword that destroys racers who are stupid enough to drive into them. So once you've won the secret car cup, you'll unlock the Twin Mill Cup, which is a single race that takes place on the previous track. And there's only 2 opponents in Twin Mill cars, the fastest cars in the game. And oh boy, if you get left behind, good luck catching up. Their engines have been supercharged to the max. They're gone. This is horrible. Until this point, the game has been a breeze, but now all of a sudden, it feels near impossible. Because a single mistake will cost you the race. Damn. Damn. Damn! Oh, you bastard. I don't believe it! My favourite track is quickly turning into my most hated. It's becoming the bane of my existence. Oh my god, there is little room for error here. You have to drive carefully as possible, all while landing the stunts and maintaining top speed. Maybe if they didn't turn the tight controls into a power-up, maybe I would stand a chance. Yeah, this race is going to be painful for you, and it will definitely take you many attempts. You need to get an early lead and drive like a god. Eventually, with all that practice and strong determination, you'll cross the line in first place. And before you know it, there you go. In about 2 hours, the game is beaten. And look, there it is, at last, Power Rocket. I finally got the car I've always wanted to drive as a kid. I first saw it on the loading screen, and since then I've always wanted to drive it because it looks like a purple Batmobile. And you know what? It doesn't disappoint. It's mega good. So in conclusion, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing is alright. It's definitely a fun game with a fast-paced racing and of course the stunts. However, undeniably, the game is lacking content. You win 3 cups, which is 9 races in total, and that's it. There's nothing left to do after that besides the airtime challenge mode, which is nothing special. But still, overall, I'd still say Turbo Racing is a classic. So yeah, if you're into retro racing games and you want to kill some time burning some rubber on the road, maybe pick this one up. Give it a go. You're never too old to play a Hot Wheels game, right? 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 Hello, today's review is going to be a little different because we're going to be checking out a game on the PlayStation 4. The game of choice is called Crypt or the Serpent King. More like Serpent of Shit. I've heard nothing but terrible things about this game, so I just have to take a look at it. Like, how can a game on the PS4 be that bad? So I ended up buying the game off the PSN Marketplace, and guess how much it cost me? About £2. And for a game at that price, you kind of already know it's going to suck. So, let's step on the bus, because we're heading for Shit Creek. And it's going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, let's get straight to the point. The game is a first-person, hack-and-slash dungeon crawler. The main goal in each dungeon is to search for keys while combating underworld creatures. And this is level 1. As expected, this is bad. This is a game from 2016. Some games on the first PlayStation 1 look better than this. Literally everything I see is incredibly uninspiring. Also, I thought this game was a dungeon crawler, not a basement crawler. Anyway, here's the first key. Oh, piss off. That jump was flat out deceiving. As if I only survived 32 seconds, I think gravity just gave me the middle finger. Well, let's try again. I'll tell you now, you better pick up every key you find, because if you don't, you're fucked. Good luck trying to find it again. The keys are never marked on the minimap. It's a load of shit. While exploring the dungeon, you'll discover a few chests. There's 3 different types. One chest gives you gold that can be used to buy weapons in between stages. The second gives you food that will replenish your health. And the other one will give you arrows if you have a bow. It's old school mechanics and it works well. But why do the chests literally take half a century to open? There's like a huge delay. Come on, how long does it take to lift up a lid? Are we playing Dark Souls? You might as well be, as searching for the keys in this dark gloomy basement, you'll be soon confronting your first underworld creature, an ugly rat man. And what is this nonsense? Some hit sound effects are missing. I'm not lying. Listen. Is the game broken or something? If not, then how did they forget to include something basic as impact sound effects? They didn't even try! Literally. Shit, this hatch is useless. It does next to no damage. A toilet brush can do more damage than this. You just stand there and mash the attack button. That's literally all you can do because somebody forgot to include a block mechanic. I'm not joking, it's that bad. The combat in this game is appealing as a rotten ass crack, and that's a fact. And facts don't care about your feelings, which, in fact, is just another fact. One more fact I may add though, is that I need to find some food to replenish my health. Now that's stingy. The food only gives you 7 HP. It makes no sense. That's a huge chunk of pork right there. Surely it should give you more health than that. I mean, like, look at the size of it. Load of bollocks. Another thing I dislike about the game is that every room and hallway looks the goddamn same. Sure, it's randomly generated, so each playthrough will be different, but it's like trying to navigate through a maze, and I know what that feels like. Look at this. It's confusing as shit. You have no idea where you're going, and I'm already lost because of these stupidly placed camera angles. Also, it doesn't help that everything looks the bastard same too. So eventually I found all the keys and you probably know what happens next. You can enter the boss room, and it's just as underwhelming as the whole stage. This is it. What you see is what you get. Total shit. It's like fighting a standard enemy but with more health. Can you even call this a boss fight? I'll let you decide. So, stage 1 in a nutshell. It's basically another turn on top of the mountain made out of shit. It's definitely one of those games that gets old real fast. But for a game as cheap as it is, that's just what you'd expect. So do you want to take a look at level 2? Go on, let's take a look at level 2. Oh, it looks even worse! How did they manage that? How is there less environmental detail in stage 2 than there is in stage 1? At least it's an actual dungeon this time, but it looks lifeless. There's nothing here. The only major difference I can see is that the crates and barrels are now replaced with these pipes, and they're pumping more shit into this game. And look what the fog has done to the enemy, who is now backing him into a wall. Come on, hit the bastard! Fuck you, you goblin piece of shit. Wait, 20 HP? Is this a sick joke? Come on! Give me a break here. Now come to think of it, looking down at the poor green bastard, I can say the only good thing about this game is the character models. They look great, but that's the only enemy you face in stage 2. It baffles me. Why didn't the developers add more than one type per dungeon? It would have improved the gameplay, and if they had different attack animations, that would somewhat make the button mashing fights less repetitive. But they didn't do that, so I'm sat here bored, senseless, staring at the TV until the water in my eyes dry up. Yeah, very exhilarating, I know. So, just like in stage 1 you collect keys, but guess what? As you progress through each stage, the dungeons get bigger and there's more keys to collect. It's just tedious as it takes longer to reach the end of the dungeon, and if you die, you lose all the experience and gold earned. And of course, you restart from the beginning of the stage. Thankfully, not from stage 1. At least they got that right. That would be a pain in the ass. I would rather bash my head in with a frying pan than start from the very beginning again. Where do these pricks come from? They're so persistent. Is it because of what I've said about the game? That crossbow would have been nice to have right now. Now I've got to do it all again. It's so annoying that they don't stop chasing you. You need to try and kill every enemy in the dungeon to earn maximum experience points. Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier, but basically experience points are used to level up your character, so you can deal more damage, run faster and take more hits. But how can you kill the goblins when they all gang up on you? There's no such thing as crowd control in this game. Stupid goblins. You know what's worse than goblins? Fucking spiders. Fuck the spiders. I hate them. Stay away from anything with 8 legs. Fuck me. Eventually I found enough gold to buy the crossbow, and it's a 3-hit kill weapon. You can kill the spiders before they even have a chance to attack you. Now from here on, things are going to be easy. Maybe a bit too easy, because within no time, I've made it to the end of the game. Yeah, it's a very short one. There's only 7 stages. I managed to clear out each dungeon, collect every key, and kill all the serpents. And whatever the fuck this thing is, it's like a head with crab legs or something like that. Who knows? And here we are. We're coming up to the lonely chamber of the Serpent King. We've come all this way to slay the bastard. And it's revealed the king is one big slithering puss hiding at the back there. Now he wants to give me a high five? I thought this monster was supposed to be menacing. So what, is he a friendly serpent? Now I kind of feel bad for slaughtering his family. Well, it doesn't matter, it's too late now. I might as well finish the job. There you go. With the serpent now dead, there is a new king of the dungeons. I'm the new king of, fuck all, I guess. That's it, I've completed the game. And I agree with the majority of people that claim that Crypt of the Serpent King is a bad game. They definitely could have done a lot more to enhance the overall experience. Hint hint, impact sound effects. But if you don't agree with me, then hey, go play it for yourself. Nothing's stopping you, right? For £2, you might get a quick fix for your dungeon crawler needs. But to me, the game ain't worth shit. You could buy a sandwich for that price and be a lot more happier. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. So, yeah, I'd like a refund. Speaking of which, how on earth do I do that? Because the game's installed on the console's hard drive. So that means... oh, bollocks. It's non-refundable! No! Christmas. A miserable time of the year. The sky is grey, all the trees are dead, and of course, it's freezing. When you're out on a walk, your socks get wet. If you're in a vehicle, you're likely to be trapped in the snow so you can't go anywhere. So, what is so good about this time of year? Well, one thing for sure is the presents. You wake up early on Christmas Day, you're full of energy from the excitement, so you run downstairs all giddy and you get to open them all. You see this here? This is a PlayStation 1 memory card. Most kids today will not have the slightest idea what it is. Today, everyone has console and cloud storage. For us back then, we had to rely on these memory cards, and they only had 15 save slots, and some games required 2 slots. Ridiculous. But then again, which is worse? This we can save 15 games, or a 500 gig console, we can only play about 4 or 5 games because they demand over 100 to install. Yeah, I know the pain. Die Hard Trilogy, nice. I haven't played it in such a long time. The Die Hard films are some of the greatest action movies ever made, and they never get old. Well, maybe except for the 5th one. Yeah, we can forget about that one. But the real question is, and always has been, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I'll let you think about that while I pop this baby in the disc tray. Alright, I'm ready. Let's dive back into the past one more time to find out if this game is as good as we remember. Let's live the moment one more time. First of all, Die Hard Trilogy for the PS1 was released late August in 1996, just in time for the Christmas shopping. It seems like a good deal as it's 3 games in one. They're based on the movies from the trilogy. There's Die Hard, Die Hard 2, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. Also, each gameplay is different too. The first one is a third-person shooter, the second is a light gun game, and the third one is a driving game. Today, we're going to take a brief look at them all to see how well they play. Starting with Die Hard 1. You get this heavily compressed movie menu of John McClane's limo arriving at the Nakatomi Plaza, and it clearly hasn't aged well at all. Cool at the time though. Upon hitting new game, you go down in an elevator to the garage. You better be ready to go out guns blazing, because when you hear that nostalgic music play, you know it's time to seek and destroy.
Get the hell out of here! Great! Want to stay alive? Stay with me.
So the goal in each stage is simple. Kill all the terrorists and save as many hostages as possible for a high score. Saving hostages is not required to complete the stage, and if they die, your score is slightly decreased in true arcade fashion. But who cared about a high score? You just wanted to make it to the next floor and deal some death. While running around as Paper Thin John, you can find useful items such as health, armor, and weapons. When an item is picked up, you'll get a classic one-liner.
Ho ho ho! I've got a machine gun!
I thought Hans Gruber said that, but never mind. Running and gunning down terrorists is so fun, but if you take on a crowd, you could lose chunks of health. To avoid this, you can dodge right out of trouble. You need to try and do it every time an enemy has the scope on you. It's a cool idea and it's shown on the right side of the screen. When you see it pop up, simply hit the dodge button and then take them out. Just make sure you're standing right in front of them, as landing shots on the enemy can be a little awkward. Also, this means you're an easy target too. Let's just say, sometimes, as soon as you've been spotted, you've already been shot. When you've killed all the terrorists, a bomb is triggered in a nearby elevator. You have 30 seconds to locate and disarm it, which is barely enough time, so you better be dashing around in a panic while checking that minimap. I bet this caused a lot of headaches for many of us back in the day, because no matter how well you did on a stage, if you couldn't find the right elevator, it's an instant game over. You'll lose a life and of course, you'll have to restart again. Die Hard 1 is hardcore. It doesn't matter which floor you're on, if you was like me and didn't save the game, you're starting back at the beginning again. I think it's a good time to mention right now that this game is hard as nails. As a kid, I usually made it to the 3rd or 4th floor, sometimes the 5th if I was lucky. Because as you play on, there's more enemies to take down, and if you don't play carefully, it's easy to lose lives. And like I've just said, it doesn't matter how well you did either. If you can't find that bomb, you'll have to do it all over again. But if you do manage to survive long enough, then you'll take an elevator right up to the roof for a bonus stage. You escort hostages to safety to earn more points. Yeah, I don't really care for this. You can discover an extra few pickups and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to say besides you're likely to get shot and lose health. So to me, the bonus stage isn't worth it. And that's about all there is to Die Hard 1 in terms of gameplay. Run, gun, and die. So here's a few things I like about the game. First of all, the graphics. Yeah, sure, the 2D characters hasn't aged well and the draw distance is very poor, but for 1996, this was amazing. It was very lifelike, especially for an early 3D game. Young me thought this was the best looking game out of my collection. How the times have changed. Another thing I approve of is the environment. It's destructible and you can use it to your advantage. Like, you can use it to see enemies coming around the corners so you can get the jump on them. The only thing that I dislike is the difficulty. Over time, it gets slowly cranked up past 10 as there's more terrorists to kill. I know John McClane is supposed to be this average guy overcoming the odds light, but this is overkill. McClane didn't have to face this many people in the movie. it was just a small group of well-educated guys. But here, it's like Hans Gruber brought a goddamn army. And speaking of Hans Gruber, eventually I did finish the game and I found out that you don't even see him. Because once you finish the last stage, which is like any other stage by the way, you get this cutscene. Like, what? You just limp away from the building after wasting about 800 guys? Yeah, it's a funny scene when you think about it, but really? No confrontation with Gruber? What a shame. I expected a boss fight or something like that. And no, this boss on the last stage doesn't count because you can encounter them regularly throughout the game.
Bye-bye, bad guy.
Oh well. At least the name entering screen is cool.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Now that was Die Hard 1. As a kid, that was my favourite game out of the three. And I still found it very challenging. But I enjoyed it, which is the main thing. So with that being said, let's take a look at the next game. Holy Mother of Mercy! This intro is worse than Die Hard 1. You might as well be watching a static TV. So why even bother making an intro if you know it's going to be this bad? Anyway, Die Hard 2, it's a rail shooter. I love these types of games. Fast-paced action all the way. So, like most of on-the-rail shooters, the objective in each stage is to literally shoot the shit out of everything. It's brilliant. I don't remember McClane strolling around the airport with a rifle, shotgun and a bazooka, but it's good fun. To progress through the stage, you have to eliminate all the terrorists in the current area. Your health is represented by badges in the bottom left corner of the screen. If you're low on health, don't worry, you can shoot cola vendors and you can have a nice, lovely, refreshing drink. And then it's back to mass killing. The henchmen pop out of nowhere, everywhere. You have to be quick to aim and reload so you don't get shot. It's a good thing that the enemies are easy to kill. Usually a bullet or two does the trick, and they go down like a sack of bloody potatoes. Along the way you can shoot pickups that give you health, instant reloads, and best of all, weapons. You can get rifles, SMGs, shotguns, and it makes you feel powerful. Like real powerful. Check this out. It's like McClane doesn't give a shit. Anyone, anywhere, including hostages, will get it. They will be no longer a pending corpse. Because, you know, they are a corpse. Let's move on. Interestingly, the game hits a few story beats from the movie, much more than Die Hard 1, which is really cool. At the beginning you walk into the airport and then you make your way to the Skywalk area, but sadly you don't see the T-1000. This thing blows up and then you're underground in the dark tunnels. And you even get the old ejector seat scene. Nice.
An ejector seat.
So I've been using the regular controller, which is alright, but this would be a lot better with a light gun. The first few stages is a breeze, but then it gets real hard. You start missing pickups and there's a lot more bad guys to kill. With the controller, it becomes increasingly difficult to line up your shots. You end up taking many hits and before you know it, it's game over. And that leads me to my next point, health. You don't have a lot of it and it becomes a problem in the later game. There's no cola vendors and you have to rely on shooting health packs, and they're really easy to miss. Now, I did attempt to play this game legit, but I kept on dying because there's so much going on at once, so many item drops, so many terrorists, so much mayhem. This is mind-numbing. You're literally shooting at anything because there's so many guys on screen, and as you kill them off, even more of them appear, out of nowhere. Like here, they're just falling from the sky. It's like the makers of the game just ran out of ideas and thought, fuck it, let it rain people instead of snow. That's logical. Next you're on this snowmobile and it gets even worse because you're constantly moving. Now you can't hit shit. What's going on? What's with the vice versa stuff? And then you start to feel sick as your brain overloads with the amount of targets on screen. Then finally, it's up to the skies to shoot down the general's plane. It's like McClane never jumped off the helicopter, which makes perfect sense. So here, all you have to do is shoot the engines and it's bon voyage! A decent ending to the game. So yeah, that was Die Hard 2, another great rail shooter. It looked good, it sounded good, it played okay with a controller, and my only complaint is really, again, just the difficulty. Long stages without checkpoints is always going to be frustrating if it's difficult. But yeah, there is fun to be had with this game, even though you might want to tear your hair out at times. Anyway, let's move on and play the final game in the trilogy. Die Hard with a Vengeance, here we go. First of all, I expected a black screen for a menu because that would be the only thing worse than Die Hard 2's menu. But yeah, this is acceptable. So this is the driving game. I remember this being easily my least favourite game out of the three. I hated it. The goal is mostly just driving to locations of bombs before they detonate. And by the looks of things, you start off by getting out of a helicopter and into the taxi. Which is stupid when you think about it. For a start, wouldn't you just stay in the helicopter because it's faster? And what's the deal with the birds? It looks like they're stalking the car. So a few things to note, there is speed boost to help you reach the bomb quicker, but you're more likely to crash. On some streets you can pick up extra time, but again, you'll mainly crash and lose time that you just gained. Can you see what the problem is? Crashing. As you play on, each stage has you disarming more bombs, and sometimes you'll need to take out bomb vehicles. You have to drive like a madman and ram into them repeatedly. You can probably guess how well that went. And in between stages, there's these subway races. You go head to head with a truck, and you guessed it, you have to win the race to disarm another bomb. I am getting sick of saying bomb now, but yeah, you have to race in the same dark tunnel each time and it never changes. Keeping with the consistency of story beats, the next stage is set in Central Park, but no measuring water in jugs this time, I'm afraid. Just more of, well, you get the point. They could have added different objectives to mix up the gameplay, but they didn't. And then again, why would they? The driving sucks! So, just like in Die Hard 1, the later stages is recycled, but the environment slightly changes, and you get some stages set during the night. I do think that the open environment is great, even though it can look like a blocky mess, but the main issue I have is that you are never allowed to explore New York City, due to the time limit. When it expires, you'll be always sent back to the latest checkpoint. Yeah, this is the only game that has checkpoints, and you know, they screw you over. You respawn at the last disarmed bomb, but now I can't make it to the next one. There's not enough time, it doesn't give you enough time. It doesn't matter, I always die before I get to the bloody corner. Did they even test this when they were making the checkpoints? I can't do it, even with infinite lives. So, therefore, I conclude, the checkpoints are not actually checkpoints, they are death traps. They want you to die, and I can't be asked restarting. So after many attempts and a headache later, I gave up and looked online, and luckily I discovered another helpful cheat. Infinite boost, and this time I just barely made it. And I mean, just barely. Seriously, why bother making checkpoints if they don't even give you enough time to get to the next bomb? Oh well, at least I can make it to the end of the game now. So yeah, this is the last stage in the trilogy. I finally made it, and to my surprise, you actually get a boss fight. Sort of. Like in the movie, Simon Gruber's in a helicopter, but instead of shooting him down, you chase him in the car. You find launch spots, and you bounce on the top of his helicopter in an epic way. It's ridiculous, but I love it. For once, I'm actually enjoying myself. But it doesn't matter. This fight is still going to come down to the last second. Can we make it? Let's find out. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. With Simon Gruber defeated, the trilogy is now over. Vengeance was tough. It's very flawed and unfair at times. It could have been a good driving game if they fixed the controls and gave you different objectives, but most of all, enough time to complete them. But all in all, you might want to skip this one and just stick to the other two. Also, they're very enjoyable in small doses and extra credit for the different types of games. If you was a fan or not, this definitely appeals to a wider audience. So overall, Die Hard Trilogy for the PlayStation 1 is another classic. So that is it. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, or whatever you want to call it. Enjoy your day. I'm out of here because now I need to set a turkey on fire. So I'll catch you in the new year. Oh, and by the way, in the meantime, happy trails. What game do I play today, eh? Crash Bandicoot. No, I've played that way too many times. Wait, I've got it. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. No, I've completed that as well recently. Do you often go through gaming dry spells? You know, usually it occurs when you wait for a new game to be released, and in the meantime, you just don't know which game to play from your collection. No. I'm definitely not playing this game ever again. Oh my god, there's so many games here. And this is just PS1 games. Never mind PS2, PS3, PS4 and PS5 games. We'll be here all day. I think we're gonna have to take a chance here. Ah yes, A Bug's Life. I watched the movie recently, so it seems appropriate to play this game. Now, interestingly, the game gets a bad rep online, so it'd be good to see if this game holds up or not, and if it deserves the reputation it currently has. Well, what are we waiting for? We've waited long enough. A Bug's Life was developed by the legendary Traveller's Tales and published by Disney Interactive in 1998. You may remember Traveller's Tales for this intro that includes a weird but beautiful creature. Damn, that's a lot of goodness. A few years ago, the company entered into the Toys for Life business. Now they're known for the epic Lego games, which at some point I might have to cover. Once the classic Disney intro is finished, you get to watch a clip from the movie. It looks terrible due to the heavy compression, but back in the day, this was amazing. Being able to watch movie clips on a home console was a rarity. After that, you're at the main menu, which is bloody well themed with the stem and leaves. Here, you can choose to begin training with Mr. Soil or dive straight into level 1. And wow, firstly, I have to say that the graphics is really good. In my previous review, I said that Die Hard was the best looking game from my collection. Well, I lied to myself there. Yes, as a kid, Die Hard blew me away, but a lot of games did, to be fair. A Bug's Life though, it looks tremendous! It's gorgeous, it's so bright and colourful, a sweet treat for the eyes. It just makes me feel happy. So this game is a third Ant collectathon platformer. You play as Flick in short open levels that closely follows events from the movie. To finish a level, you simply have to reach the end post or complete an objective. But you've got to be careful of bigger bugs. There's lots of unfriendly creepy crawlers to encounter, like spiders, flies and earthworms, and they all like to have a nibble. Ooh, would you look at that? A bite is taken out of a small leaf. Adorable! As you can probably tell, this is your health. To restore health, you can collect small leaves with a red cross on them. Usually they drop after defeating bugs, or you can use this plant that shoots them out. Be aware, they also shoot spike seeds that can harm you. Take too many hits and you will lose a life. If you lose them all, it's game over, and you get to watch another movie clip. It's possibly one of the best game over clips in a video game.
Have you been playing all summer? You think this is a game?
No, please.
Well, guess what? You just lost.
Well, that's one way of rubbing it in. Now, you can't let the big bugs keep bullying you, so in self-defense, you can use the bounce attack to squish them. Cheers, Mr. Soil. Your lessons has taught me to be a ruthless murderer. Besides bouncing around, your most useful attack is to throw berries. Okay, we're offering fruit now. Right, stop it now. I'm fed of you bullying me. I've had enough of it. Here, have a dirty nana. Berries can be upgraded to make them more powerful. By default, you start with the red berry. It's the weakest and it bounces off some bugs. Like here, it doesn't work on the grasshoppers.
You think this is a game?
Next is the blueberry, which deals double damage, and it can harm all enemies. After that, you get the Herman berry, super berry, and then finally, the golden berry, the best berry of the bunch. It kills the enemy for good, as in it stops them from spawning. The harvester can do this too, but it's slow and it's only featured in some levels. But it's nice to be included. Also, in each level, you can collect 50 pieces of grain. Finding them fully restores your health and it rewards you with a bronze token. To achieve a silver token, you need to locate letters that spell Flick's name. They're usually just out of reach, so you'll need to find a few plant tokens first. Also, it grants you an extra life, which is nice. Lastly, to attain the gold token, you'll need to use the golden berry. You have to kill every enemy in a level, as in you wipe them out. Now enjoy your agonizing death! To help locate some collectibles, you can find Flick's telescope. It shows you a location of interest, like where the gold berry is, the exit, and Oh! I see! Yeah, the draw distance is pretty bad, but it's not the game's fault from a technical perspective. I just find it a bit annoying when exploring the open levels. Grain and plant tokens just appear into existence, and I found myself triple checking areas just to make sure that I've picked up everything. But besides that, I'm fine with the draw distance. So for collecting all 3 tokens, you unlock a bonus movie clip. Being able to watch these clips on a home console was a brilliant idea at the time. Sweet as a nut, and if you wanted, you can re-watch the clips from the main menu, which, again, it looks great and suited to the theme. If you're not that bothered about the bonus clips, then there's no reason to collect the tokens. You can still have fun playing the game casually, however, your overall playtime will be a couple hours shorter as each level doesn't take too long to complete. As you play on, you can collect different types of plant tokens. These tokens allow you to grow various plants that can help you traverse the level and collect everything. To name a few plants, you've got the basic mushroom that you can bounce on, there's a leaf plant that can help you reach high platforms, there's a plant that can shoot out health, and one that produces berries. Collecting the same tokens will upgrade that type of plant. For example, the leaf plant will grow a new platform, berry plants will produce stronger berries, and the mushroom transforms into a propeller in which you can glide from. So it may be a bit confusing to understand, but basically what you got to do is you grab the seed, then you plant the seed, and what you got to do is grab the seed token, then fuck me! It's grown a brick! Interacting with different types of plants can be a little confusing at first, but after a short time playing around with them, you should get the gist of it. In some cases, you're required to use them to progress through a level and solve puzzles. Seeds can be picked up and thrown unless they're embedded in the ground. You can use 2 plants together in fun ways, like you can glide from a propeller into a dandelion and use that to travel further distances. Or maybe not. Oh shit. No, 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 no! The pain! Aside from Flick getting eaten, the game follows the movie really well. You start off at Ant Island making your way into the tunnels, then to the canyons, and then to the city where you get the cool mega jumping ability, which is really fun. And then you meet the warrior bugs.
Why, when your grasshoppers arrive, we are gonna knock them dead!
Knock them dead? More like blow them into pieces. Every few levels, you get to fight a boss. First is Thumper. All you need to do is get the blueberry to deal damage. It's relatively easy unless you're going for 100%. And like I said, blow them into pieces. The same can be said for the next boss, the bird. But then it's Fud the Fly that's been sucking on steroids. You battle in a rolling can, and you're more likely to die to the incoming objects. This fight can be a bit stressful because you constantly have to be aware of your surroundings, but Molt has to be the most stressful boss. How can the loudmouth global comedic relief character be the most annoying? This is why this one platform, you need to jump onto it to obtain the golden berry, but Molt keeps on getting in the way! It's so awkward. Well, I bet you can guess who the final boss is. It's Dim! It's Dim! No, not really, it's Hopper. Before you fight him, you are put to the test. You have to use all your knowledge of plant tokens to tackle puzzles in order to make the berry shooter. This is the only way to rescue Princess Atta. The level is set back on Ant Island, but there's a big change in atmosphere when compared to the first time we were here. Now it has a sense of dread, it looks bleak and there's numerous patrolling grasshoppers, which is great, I love this tone. Anyway, once you've saved the princess, then you're out flying through the canyons of a short and sweet chase. And finally, after all that, you fight Hopper one-on-one, as in, you just keep throwing berries, and then the bird finishes him off, just like in the movie. And it's as disturbing as I remember. It's grim. Very grim.
Help me! Help me! Ah!
What can I say? It's a hard life being a bug. Now that's an afternoon well spent. I think that this game is awesome and it's definitely worth your time if you're into retro games. And come on, it's a Bug's Life. It's a classic. But yet the game had many negative reviews and I just don't know why that is. Maybe it's the plant tokens. Maybe that's why the game gets negative reviews. The idea is a bit hard to grasp at first, but at the same time, it's innovative and it's fun. Which reminds me, I better go and check on my brick. Right, let's sit down and play some Hellboy. As you can see, I've come prepared with the right hand of doom because we're going to go up against some hideous monsters, some terrible demons from the underworld. So this right hand of doom will do the trick. One punch can send you into next week. Let's get the show on the road. Hellboy, what a franchise. Originally the character was created for a comic series. Over the years its popularity spawned movies and games. I remember discovering Hellboy in my early teens. One day I walked into the living room and on the TV played a trailer for the first Hellboy movie, starring Ron Perlman. It was as simple as that. Young me was so intrigued by these cool looking characters from this newfound universe. But sadly I wasn't able to watch the film until the parents bought it on DVD. I gave it a watch and immediately I loved the shit out of it. In fact, I still have that same DVD. But I was never familiar with the video games until recently I discovered that there was a PS1 Hellboy game. And PS1 games is mostly what this channel is all about. So, let's use this mighty red right hand to break down the walls, slay some demons, but most importantly, to hit that start button. Developed by Cryo Studios, Hellboy Dogs of the Night was released in the year 2000 for PC and then 3 years later ported to the PlayStation as Hellboy Asylum Seeker. The game starts out with this cutscene. There's an old crackhead in a bed talking some creepy nonsense, something about eternal chaos. I don't really have a clue what the dude's on about, and by the looks of it, no one in the room does either. Next it cuts to this lonely graveyard with a guy holding a lighter. He explores his surroundings and notices an important inscription. He reads it, then shortly after, he is attacked by a monster. 72 hours too late, Hellboy and Sarah arrives on the scene to find him. Sarah decides to throw a hissy fit and Hellboy picks up Peter's lighter. Now that must be the missing man's name. Now the game begins, and well, I have a few things to say already. Firstly, where's the iconic trench coat? Why would they miss the opportunity to give him that? Without it, Hellboy looks, well, do I need to say anything? Look at him. He has a huge bulking chest with little stubby arms and legs. It looks awful. On first impressions, you can quickly tell that Asylum Seeker is a survival horror type of game with the Resident Evil styled camera angles. And of course the isolated graveyard setting. Like, how does this even happen? He's Hellboy. Then there's the combat, and then you suddenly realise why he's trying to survive. He is weak as puppy shit. Look at these little stubby punches. They do absolutely nothing. It's just embarrassing. Why is he throwing punches with his left hand when, you know, maybe you have a right hand like this? Is this not good enough? What's wrong with it? This is sheer raw power. In law, this is practically a stone club. This Hellboy is no Ron Perlman, that's for sure. Even though the game did come out before the movie technically, but you get the point.
Alright, I found out if you hold the attack button, the left-hand punches combo with a forward right-hand attack. And yeah, it still has no effect. Come on, it's a damn skeleton. Realistically, this attack should break their jaws. And bear in mind that these are the first enemies you encounter. It's such a drag. You know what? I don't even know if you can kill these skeletons. They're already dead anyway, so I'm moving on. You find Sarah along with a dead Peter, and man, the voice acting is just on point here.
I see you found Peter. That's a lot of blood.
Well, no shit. After that conversation, you're up against the boss. You'll literally just stand there and press the attack button. No, correction, you hold the attack button. Can you even call this a boss when the first enemies in the game is seemingly impossible to defeat? Maybe I didn't punch long enough, but who can be asked to do that? That's when you know the game is bollocks. And I haven't mentioned the tank controls yet. With the fixed camera angles, all tank controls would be the way to go about it, and I bet you're expecting me to shit on that too, but actually, I don't have a problem with it. I know a lot of people hate this control style, but personally, I am used to classic tank movement, and it's no different here. Although, during combat, strangely enough, the camera is placed directly behind the player, and Hellboy's huge body obstructs the camera, which is really annoying. But besides that, I'm okay with it really. What I'm not okay with though, is the upcoming area in the crypt. It's pitch black, so you need to use the lighter. Okay, very handy dandy indeed, no problem. Well, actually yeah, there is a problem because you can't move with it. And it gets worse because there's an invisible wall that stops you from walking forward, and you always take damage every time you step into it. It's not even a puzzle. You have to turn around and tap the action button on all the walls, and maybe, just maybe, by chance, you'll light up the torch. There's no prompts or anything. It's just bad game design. A warning would have been nice next time.
Usually I would say that this is a where the hell do you go type of game, but I think I'm just going to outright say that this is a whole load of bollocks type of game.
The crypt leads to a church, and for some reason, your iconic gun is just lying on the floor there. Just bring it with you next time. You talk to this little blue fella who cannot explain anything, so I don't know why. They just go and float away. It's kind of like that alien from the Men in Black game.
Yeah, take care, Father, or Yoda, or whatever the hell your name was, insect guy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Couldn't they think of something else better than that?
After leaving the church, you head for the asylum, but first you'll encounter the demon from the first cutscene. Having acquired the gun, let's use it to put the beast down. What a sack of depression! It looks like I'm firing blanks! The little blue bastard set me up! Oh, great! Now I'm dead. When you reach the asylum, you'll be confronted by a weird nurse. She demands a boxing match, and Hellboy can't refuse that offer, so he hulks up and throws the crazy lady over the top rope and out the window. He then contemplates about life and how stupid this game is at times, while having a nice glance at the miserable world outside. Wonderful. Now, there is some puzzle elements like in Resident Evil. They're nonsensical and easy to figure out, which is okay, but here, they act as an obstruction to the main path. Like, why do that? Early on, you need to put rocks on pillars to activate a bridge for no reason. And even earlier, as in the very start of the game, you have to push a button to open up a crypt door, and inside that crypt is another button that will unlock a gate. It's unnecessary. Just have the gate already open. Or at least, you should be able to use his huge hand to break it down.
This is such a misrepresentation of Hellboy. You know what? I'm not even sure that it is Hellboy. What is this nonsense? What have I just walked into?
No way. This is the next boss. It's a demon on the ceiling, and the only way to beat it is to poke it with a stick that you found on the ground. With a stick. A stick. It looks like Hellboy is on pest control duty. I can't fathom why you've got to do this. This is not the real Hellboy. This is an imposter. And why does this fog look like this? It looks like the game is broken. I wouldn't even bother with it. It looks horrendous. This entire game is a tragedy and it has no redeeming qualities. The gameplay is awkward, the puzzles is a chore, and the combat must be a sick joke. Hellboy Asylum Seeker makes me want to seek an asylum alright, because it's driving me nuts. It's down there, right down there, at the bottom of the barrel of bad games. What's not to love? Everything. And that's all I have to say about this game. What a complete disaster of a game that is. I regret playing it. It is bad. It is absolutely a disgrace to the Hellboy franchise. Don't play it. It's not fun in any way. In fact, you could watch the movies, read the comics, and that'd be a lot better than Hellboy Asylum Seeker. Even the latest Hellboy reboot movie. I know it's not that good. I like it, guilty pleasure, so what? But that must be a hell of a lot better than Asylum Seeker. I think I'm going to go back to where it all started, with the first Hellboy movie with Ron Perlman. This is what I would call a good time. And I would say, choose this over the game any day. Send the game to hell. Anyone can string a few rhymes together, but I don't think I've got that funky flow. I don't know what to do. I need someone or something to help me nail them beats. Now there's a thought. I do know an old game with a funky flow. Have you ever heard of Parappa the Rapper? It's a cool PS1 game that's all about the rhythm. Maybe that could help. The game was developed by a Japanese company called Nana Onsha, or at least I think that's how you pronounce it. In Japan it hit shelves in 1996, then worldwide in 1997 to critical acclaim. Over the years it's had multiple re-releases, a sequel, a spin-off, and a weird anime show. Yeah, that happened. Parappa the Rapper is generally considered to be one of the first true rhythm games ever made, as in the general idea of tapping the right buttons to a beat or song that appears on screen. Does that sound familiar? If you thought Guitar Hero or the arcade dancing scene, then that's because by the end of the noughties, rhythm games was considered to be one of the most popular video game genres. Guitar Hero was arguably responsible for bringing the genre to the mainstream. The games came packaged with an epic guitar controller. It had coloured fret buttons, a flippy strummer, and a damn whammy. There was tons of these games. You had Guitar Hero 1-3, Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Metallica, Rock Band, Lego Rock Band, and the list goes on. And no, I didn't forget about DJ Hero, for fans who like that too. My favourite Guitar Hero was Guitar Hero Metallica, as they were my favourite band at the time. Also good memories playing multiplayer too. Now, the rhythm game craze has died down over the years, but there are games out there keeping the genre fresh, such as Beat Saber. It's set in a virtual space and you have to use motion controls to slash notes. It's good fun and you can expand your music library with downloadable song packs. Very nice. Oh boy, we have come a long way. All these games might not have existed if it weren't for Parappa the Rapper. So I guess with all that being said, let's finally take a look at the game that started it all. I still remember the very first time I experienced this game. It was on a demo disc issued by PlayStation Magazine. You could only play the first level as the last lesson would auto-fail, so you could never complete it. I thought I just sucked. But that's the demo, and we're here for the full game, which includes a story. It briefly starts out at a movie theatre where you're introduced to our main character Parappa, a paper-thin dog that aspires to be a hero. You follow him and his three close friends. There's PJ Berry, Katie Cat, and his crush Sunny Funny, who's a flower. A flower? I thought dogs chew on flowers. Man, this is absolute bananas, but that more or less sums up the plot. Stay with me on this.
Wow, these paper characters look so weird in this 3D world. It's quite charming. The art direction certainly pops. Anyway, after watching the movie, the gang decides to get some grub at a nearby restaurant. They're having a nice time until these goons walk in. They stir up some trouble, and then suddenly, from the toilets, the popular Joe Chin appears.
There's no need to fear, because Joe Chin is here.
He basically tells the bullies to do one, but he doesn't know how to stop. This bores our friends to death, so they'll leave the restaurant. Parappa then has a brilliant idea to impress the flower of his dreams. He has to believe.
Yeah, I know. I gotta believe.
In other words, he wants to learn how to fight, so he signs up for karate and challenges the teacher to a rap battle. Oh my god. The answer to all my rapping problems has been staring right at me in the face. Go on, teach me! Oh, by God, you stink. In total, the game offers 6 groovy levels to play, each with their own mood and feel. The gameplay is simple. You have to match the correct buttons at the top of the screen. When you press a face or shoulder button, Parappa will rap along. There's a dedicated word for each input, which is really cool. It's not all about staying in time with the song. You have to make Parappa sound good, which will increase your score. As you play on, each level has you matching more buttons, therefore increasing the difficulty. As this is level 1, timing is relatively easy, but there's only a few buttons to press. It starts out with only 1 button, and then by the end it caps out at 3. Now the learner is the master.
Punch, punch, punch! That's it for today. Good job, Parappa. You can go on to the next stage now.
Yahoo! All right.
So that was level 1, short and sweet. The song was fun, the music was great, however, the lyrics were just terrible. I mean, they're very quirky, very simplistic, but I liked it, and that's what the game is going for, so that's the main thing. So, do you want to see what happens in the next level? Go on, I know you want to. Well, Joe Chin shows up being a jerk. He flexes his great big limo, and Parappa realises he needs to be able to drive, so he can take Sunny anywhere they want. But in order to drive, you need a license. To obtain one, he has to rap battle a moose. Once again, he has to believe. I don't think this is an appropriate time to rap battle, but then again, the moose deserves to get the sack. This has to be the most dangerous driving instructor I have ever seen. The moose must have bribed the mechanics to pass the MOT because this car is literally falling apart. And by the end, the instructor had to stop the car because she forgot to close the door. How is she getting away with this? How? So this is another fun short level with a slight increase in difficulty. There's more buttons to press and it can be tricky. The lyrics again ain't too cracking, but they're very catchy. It goes well with the piano beats. You'll soon be in the groove. I love how the car starts swerving side to side if you rap bad. Rapping bad or awful changes the level's direction and tone. It's a great addition. Also, I love how there's all these danger signs now appearing in the background. Again, how is the moose getting away with this? Driving down these dangerous roads? Well, there's not much else to say about this level, so let's move on to the next. Parappa with his new license quickly steals his dad's car. Shortly after, he accidentally wrecks it. Well, maybe that's because, the driving lessons was more about rapping than actual driving. So, in order to pay for the repairs, he gets a job at a flea market, where you get to meet this prince.
I'm working in the flea market so early. I've been working here since my mama was a baby.
That's slavery! Can't be doing with that. Can you believe that we're halfway through the game already? It's criminally short, but there is some replay value which we'll discuss at the end. So this song's tempo is much faster and there's many frequent buttons to press. However, this one is surprisingly easy, and half the time Parappa sounds, how do I put it politely? He sounds, thick as 2 short planks.
All you ever need is to be nice and friendly.
I thought the aim of the game was to get better at rapping, not worse. Oh well, he's still earning a bit of cash at the end of the day, so all is good. With his pockets loaded, Parappa pays for all the damages done to the car, and the group of friends reunite to plan Sonny's birthday. Katie's going to set up the party, PJ's buying the presents, and that leads Parappa to get a cake. But wait a second, Joe Chin again? What a nuisance! He shows up with his, let's say, skyscraper cake, and this leads to Parappa dropping his cake on the floor, causing sort of a white mess. You know what that means? It's rap battle time, you know it. As usual, he has to believe. Luckily for Parappa, there's a conveniently cheap cooking show that can help him make a tasty seafood cake. And that's okay. It must be a dog flour thing. You may have noticed that throughout this playthrough I've been regularly rapping bad. Well, you see, that's because you can be rapping good, keeping in time, but for no reason whatsoever, you'll be rapping bad. What did I do wrong? It sounded fine to me.
Crack, crack the egg into the bowl.
Crack, crack, crack the egg into the bowl.
Crack, crack the egg into the bowl. Crack, how about my foot up your ass? Personally, this has to be the most difficult song in the game. I had to replay it a few times because of this stupid chicken. Honestly, I feel like I'm playing in time with the song, but more often the buttons don't register. This one level alone feels luck-based, I swear, it's such a gamble. It's like playing a slot machine, you don't know what you're going to get. What I do know though, is on the other hand, we're killing her babies. After making a lovely fishy cake, it's back to the party. Everyone's having a wonderful time. Parappa scoffs most of that cake. Yeah, cause you know, dogs do love their fish. And later in the evening, Parappa and Sonny get some quiet time together. But then he feels the dreaded shit coming on. I think some of us has been there before. In a hurry, Parappa drives Sonny home and he manages to pull up at a gas station to use the toilet. However, all the previous rappers are waiting to use it. To decide who gets to go next, you must rap battle for it. When you think about it, Parappa is a dog, so he should be shitting on the grass. The whole idea of this level is so silly, but so funny. Everyone desperately needs to go. When you start rapping bad, it rains, and then when you're rapping awful, there's lightning and thunder. It's brilliant. If you fail the level, you probably know what happens. Parappa can't hold it no longer, so he fouls himself in this weird game over sequence. I mean, that's one way of conveying you shit yourself. Now it's time for the grand finale. Parappa's been invited to a club, so he takes Sonny along. When they get there, Parappa quickly hops onto the stage to rap. He needs to believe one more time to truly win her over. But he bottles it and everyone leaves.
But I would do it like that because I want it like that. No other difference is the fact.
You gotta do what?
I got it in.
Maybe next time.
Can you imagine if the game actually ended like that? What a tragedy that would be. Well, it doesn't end as the show goes on. With this being the last level, the difficulty is high with lots of buttons and long raps. Phrases start immediately, so you have to keep your eyes at the start of the bar. You need to be ready for them. The final song is my least favourite, but it's still fun like the others. And towards the end, Parappa takes centre stage to rap his heart out to Sonny. Oh, that's just gorgeous.
Ho, ho, ho! Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, you gotta believe. Thank you.
Fabulous friends you all had, just believe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
And then it's game over. It just sort of ends. Now, what can you do after the game is beaten? Well, you can go back and replay any level with Cool Mode. How can you achieve Cool Mode? What is Cool Mode? Well, here you go, you tap more buttons. And then the teacher leaves you alone to freestyle. Finally, you can eject that disgraceful moose instructor.
Yeah, you get what you deserve. Go on now, piss off. Bye everyone. You're all below me because now I am a freestyle god. Is this rap heaven? I don't know because I don't know what's going on. Mashing buttons can result in many funny moments, but you can lose cool mode in doing so. I'm guessing to maintain cool status, you're supposed to press buttons in a sequence during the pauses. Sometimes it does the trick, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't have the foggiest idea how cool mode really works, but when it does, it's good to see what happens. It's really fun.
Right, left, now break it, punch, shot, lock, kick, punch, shot, crack, break it, in the brain, no, did you set tallest crack, break, did you?
And that about does it for this review. I only have one word to summon this game up, and that word is classic. So that was Parappa the Rapper on PlayStation 1. A brilliant game, I really enjoyed it. And I can see why that this game gets like all the praise it gets, and why it's considered to be one of the first true rhythm games to be made. The art direction is a sweet treat for the eyes, the characters is amazing, the songs is great. I mean, they can play a bit choppy at times, but with this being the first true rhythm game, you can't complain really. So, I mean, you have to give it that. Also, a while ago, this game has been remastered, and you can pick it up cheap. I highly recommend that you give this one a go. So, go on now, go rap your heart out, but more importantly, you've got to believe. Believe in yourself, and you can accomplish great things, because you are amazing. Thanks for watching.